So let's discuss. So in this topic of the dermatology, we're going to start the new section, that is the viral infections of the skin. So here we will discuss the viral infections. Okay. So there are different viruses that can cause the skin infections. We will discuss them one by one. So let's begin with the first and most important virus, that is the herpes virus infections. Herpes virus infections. Okay, I think my hand is in front of the camera. Herpes virus infections. Herpes virus infections. So in the herpes virus infection, there are these different categories of the herpes virus. So first one category of the herpes virus is the herpes simplex virus, HSV. Herpes simplex virus. Okay, so herpes simplex virus are different category. Herpes simplex virus 1, herpes simplex virus 2, herpes simplex virus 3. Okay, so what is the herpes simplex virus causes the two kind of infection? Herpes simplex virus 1, 2, 3, and up to the 8. We'll discuss one by one. Herpes simplex virus 1, HSV1. It causes the orolabial herpes. Causes orolabial herpes. HSV1 causes the orolabial herpes. HSV1 also causes the gingivostomatitis herpes. It does also causes the gingivostomatitis herpes. Clear? So, this orolabial herpes. Other name of the orolabial herpes is the cold sores. Cold sores. And gingivostomatitis. Gingivo mean gum. Stomatitis mean blisters in the oral cavity. So when the blisters on the gum, so that is the initial presentation during the primary HSV infections. So this gingivostomatitis, keep in mind, gingivostomatitis, it means gum. There are some blisters present on the gum is the initial presentation. During primary HSV infections. While the orolabial is more severe. Orolabial is the more severe than the gingivostomatitis and it will present later. Again repeating. So in this session we will discuss about, so what is the question? So I think screen is clear to everyone. So viral infections. So first viral infection of the skin is the herpes virus infections. It means different kinds of the herpes virus. So first herpes virus is the herpes simplex virus, HSV. Herpes. So here is the herpes. H stands for the herpes. S for simplex and V virus. Herpes simplex virus. I think camera is not clear today, so I should change the direction of the camera. So wait, I'm going to change the direction of camera. To become it more visible. Oh, I think it is very clear. Okay, now it's clear. So we are going
जी
to
सर.
discuss the. Okay, okay. So we are going to discuss in this session is the viral infections. First viral infection is the herpes virus infection. In the herpes virus infection, first herpes virus is the herpes simplex virus HSV. H stand for herpes, S for simplex, and V for virus. So there are the multiple herpes simplex viruses. We are starting from the HSV1, HSV2, HSV3 up to HHV7 and 8. So first the HSV1 it causes two kind of the infections. One is the oro mean mouth, oral cavity, labial mean lips. There are the blisters in the oral cavity and the lips, maybe upper lip and the lower lip. So oral cavity and lips are involved and we call them the cold sores, and these are much severe form of the herpes simplex viral infections. And this HSV1 also causes the gingivostomatitis herpes. This HSV1 mean in the oral cavity and gum present with blisters, and this is the initial presentation during the primary HSV infections. When there's a primary herpes simplex 1 infection, so initial presentation will be gingivostomatitis. When there is a secondary HSV1 infections, then gingivostomatitis will turn into orolabial herpes. It means the lips involvement and oral cavity both will involved. So initially lesions will be on gums, and later on lesions will become more severe and present on the oral cavity with the lips involvement. Clear? Again repeating, HSV1 initial presentation. When there is HSV1 infections, initial presentation is the gum and the oral cavity. Blisters are present on the gum and oral cavity. We call it gingivostomatitis. But when this infection will become more severe, we call and present on the oral cavity with the lips, we call it orolabial herpes. That is the most severe form than the gingivostomatitis. Clear? So orolabial herpes, gingivostomatitis is caused by herpes simplex virus 1. We will discuss one by one in detail. Next one virus is the HSV2. So this HSV2 causes the genital herpes. So HSV2 it causes genital or genital, we can call it genital herpes. It means blisters will be present on the male genitalia and female genitalia. Prepuce, glans penis, labia minora, labia majora. Okay, and HSV3, herpes simplex virus, it causes the infections, and these infections are the same as infections caused by the VZ virus. It same infections, it causes the same infections causes by or caused by VZV, varicella zoster virus. VZV, varicella zoster virus. Okay, and varicella zoster virus causes the varicella zoster and shingles. Okay, we will discuss in detail. So first infection is due to HSV1, HSV2 and HSV3. So all these are the herpes simplex viruses. Because we are discussing the herpes group of the infections due to the herpes viruses. So HSV1, HSV2 causes the genital herpes, HSV3 causes the same infection that are caused by the VZV, and that same infection is the varicella zoster virus. And this varicella zoster virus, so look at the VZV, varicella zoster virus. It causes the two type of the infections in children and in adult. Clear? So in adult, it is the shingles or the herpes zoster. Herpes zoster. Other name of the herpes zoster is the shingles. It causes the shingle or herpes zoster, but in the children, it causes the varicella. Varicella is due to the primary infection and herpes zoster is due to the secondary infection. So here is the double line with the degree, that is the secondary, and varicella is due to the primary infection of the primary infection caused by the VZV, varicella zoster virus. When the varicella zoster virus primarily infect the children, infection is known as varicella, and other name of the varicella is the chickenpox. Chickenpox. So chickenpox is the primary infection or primary exposure of the varicella zoster virus in the children, but in the adult, when there is a reactivation or the secondary infections, we call it reactivation. When this varicella zoster virus reactivate in the adult, it will cause the herpes zoster. Other name of the herpes zoster is the shingles. So we will discuss it in detail. So up to now we have discussed the three viruses and their causes. Next, HSV4. Okay, so here is the HHV4, human herpes virus. So it is same as the HSV4, same as HSV4. HSV mean herpes simplex virus, but HHV stands for human herpes virus. So whether you call it HHV or you can call it HSV, though both are the herpes viruses. So here is the herpes, here is the herpes. So HHV human herpes virus and HSV herpes simplex virus. So both are the herpes viruses. So HSV or HHV is called as cytomegalovirus. So it is nothing just the cytomegalovirus, CMV. So this HHV4 or HSV4 is nothing just it is the cytomegalovirus, CMV. We will discuss in detail cytomegalovirus. Cytomegalovirus. Okay, so this is the fourth category. And fifth category of the herpes viruses is the HHV5. HHV5. Same as the HSV5. Human herpes virus is 5. It is nothing, just it is the EBV. EBV. Epstein-Barr virus. Epstein-Barr virus, and that will cause the kissing disease. glandular fever. Okay, we will discuss in detail. And sixth category is the HHV6 and HHV7. These are the herpes simplex or human herpes virus 6 and 7. What is that? These cause the pityriasis rosea. They cause pityriasis rosea. Pityriasis rosea. Rosea rosea. And last one herpes virus, not a virus. Last one herpes virus is the HHV8, human herpes virus 8, that can cause the Kaposi's sarcoma. It causes the Kaposi's sarcoma. So these are the herpes group of the viruses. So total 8 herpes viruses that can infect the skin. So we have discussed them, and let's move on one by one and their discussion. Clear? So let's discuss one by one. So first we are going to discuss the HSV1 or the herpes simplex virus 1. So first one is the HHV1, human herpes virus 1, or herpes simplex virus 1, or other name is the orolabial. Other name is the orolabial or gingivostomatitis. Stomatitis herpes. So let's discuss what are the clinical presentation, what are the diagnosis, what are the investigation, and the treatment. So clinical presentation of this virus, clinical feature. So this is the HSV1. So there are the it means oral cavity, labia mean lips. So initial presentation, when it is the first time, initial presentation, there will be a blisters or lesions or vesicles. Grouped vesicles will be present. So what will be present? Vesicles. Initially, vesicles will be present on gum and oral cavity. And later, with much severity, it will become more severe and present on lips involvement due to this HSV1 infections. When there is a HSV1 infection, so there are the vesicles. You know, vesicles are the fluid filled lesions. Okay, and vesicles will be present on gums and oral cavity, but later on they will appear on the lips, or the lips involvement will be happened. So clinically, so what are the vesicles? So this is the first clinical presentation. Second, these vesicles are the grouped vesicles with erythematous base. So vesicles are grouped. Single vesicle will not be present. Fluid filled lesions will be grouped vesicles with erythematous erythematous base. It means look at this is the skin or the oral skin of the oral cavity. So here is the erythematous inflamed area. On that inflamed area, here is the blisters or the vesicles are present. So these vesicles are grouped vesicles. So look at this, the grouped vesicles, and these grouped vesicles are present on the erythematous skin or erythematous base. And usually their presentation or site of the presentation is the gum initially and lips. These lips can be upper lips and lower lips, both can be involved. So these grouped vesicles can be present on the upper lips, gums and lower lips, and they will appear after the fever. So they will appear after fever. Therefore, we call these blisters as the fever blisters. We call them fever blisters. Usually these appear after the fever. Where they appear? They appear on the gum, upper lip and the lower lip. So we call them the fever blisters. Other name of the fever blisters are the oral blisters are the cold sores. Cold sores. So these are the clinical presentation or clinical features. Then these lesions. So the lesions are present on gums and lips. Still these lesions that are present on the gums and lips, so itself break. These lesions on its own they will break. So page number 5. So the lesions that are present on the lips. So lesions, third clinical presentation. Lesions itself or themselves break and leave the ruins and make or leave ruins. Rupture. So look at here. This is the lesion with the erythematous base. When it will break down, fluid will come out and it will leave the ruins. Margins will be very dry with dry margins. So they make the ruins. Lesions itself break or bust and make the ruins, and these group these lesions are grouped lesions, so definitely they will make the grouped ruins. These are the grouped lesions. We look at previous page. I will show you the image. So these are the grouped vesicles, grouped lesions. When these grouped lesions itself break, they will leave the grouped ruins, and we call this grouped ruins as the polycyclic ruins. Polycyclic ruins. So they can ask you in your MCQs. This is the important point. So the polycyclic ruins. So they can ask you, a patient is presented in the dermatology OPD and you feel there are the polycyclic ruins on the upper lip and the lower lip, including the gum and the oral cavity. So these are the suggestive for the HSV1 infection. So polycyclic ruins. So these polycyclic ruins are the suggestive for the HSV1 infections. Okay. So when there are primary infections, so next one after the clinical features, let's move on the primary episode. Primary episode of HSV1. HSV1, herpes simplex virus, when it expresses itself at the first time. Primary episodes mean when the patient is first time exposed. Primary episode mean when the patient is first time in life, first time exposed to the HSV1. First time exposure to the HSV1 and first infection, and causes first time infections. That is the primary exposure. So what are the first time exposures? So these are the primary episode is much more severe. This primary episode is very severe. What is the severity? Severity can be pain. So patient will feel pain, will feel swelling on the lips, swellings on the gum, swellings in the oral cavity, and also due to the pain and swelling, patient can feel the dysphagia, difficulty in swallowing. Clear? So primary episodes with HSV1, patient is first time exposed, that is the primary exposure. When there is a primary exposure to the HSV1, it causes the first time infections. That first time infection is very severe and patient will present with the pain, swelling and dysphagia. So when the primary episode is wear off, now primary episode or primary, here I am writing the primary infection, wear off. It means finish. When primary infections wear off from HSV1, it means once the patient has exposed to the HSV1, the patient will develop the primary infection. When the primary infection is wear off, it means self-limited after many days, so automatically finish. Then this virus HSV1, it will not leave the body. Okay, so this particular virus does not leave the body. It will remain in the body. It will not leave the body once you expose to the HSV1 or herpes viruses. So that is the primary infection. When the primary infection is wear off, then HSV1 will never leave your body. It will remain inside the body and it will go into the ganglions, permanently reside in the ganglions. You know, the ganglions are the nerves, so they will remain into the ganglions, and it will remain in the ganglion. So later on, due to some, maybe there is a fever, due to some trauma at specific site, stress or menstruation. Later, okay, later on, due to the specific stress conditions, trauma, menstruations, are different conditions that will decrease your immunity. This sleepy or dormant herpes simplex virus will reactivate, and when it will reactivate, it will cause the secondary infection. What it causes? Secondary infections. And this secondary infection is not too much severe. Okay, it is very simple. So there will be a secondary infections or secondary episodes. Those These secondary episodes are mild as compared to the primary episodes. You know, primary episodes are very severe. So after the primary episodes wear off, this herpes simplex virus will not leave your body. It will remain permanently in your body in the ganglions. So when there is a specific situations later on, due to fever, stress, trauma, menstruations, or the immunity depressions or immunocompromised people, so it will reactivate and leading to the secondary infections or the secondary episodes. So this secondary episode is milder, it is not too much severe forms as compared to the primary episodes. Okay, but it is transmitted sometimes, so it is milder, so patient will feel less pain, less dysphagia, like shingles. Yes, like shingles, any viruses. You know, shingle is the herpes simplex virus. Okay, so simplex virus remains once your body is exposed to the herpes viruses, then herpes viruses never leave your body. It remains permanently into the ganglions of your body. Clear? So that is the milder, and then it can transmit. You know, this herpes virus can transmit. How can the herpes virus can transmit? It can transmit through the close contact. What is the maximum close contact? You know, it is the labialis, orolabialis. Close contact mean by kissing. Actually, it is not a kissing disease. Kissing disease is the EBV, but maximum close contact is the kissing. Okay, because this is the orolabial herpes. So orolabial herpes can transmit by the close contact, and maximum close contact is the it can transmit through the kissing. Okay. So what are the investigations? How will you investigate this herpes simplex viruses? This herpes simplex viruses can be investigated by the smear, and that smear is the zinc smear. So wait for a minute. So here is the investigations. Page number 8. Page number 7. Investigations. How you will investigate this virus? Are the herpes simplex virus 1? Okay, so investigation is the just this is investigated by the zinc smear. Zinc smear, Z T Z A N C K, zinc smear. T Z N A C, zinc smear. So what is the zinc smear? Screen is clear?
No, sir.
Not clear. Okay, okay.
Sir, camera is off.
Okay, okay, don't worry. I am trying to correct it. Okay, so maximally it can be investigated or investigations. You will do the zinc smear, TZANCK. But how you do the zinc smear? First of all, there are the grouped lesions on the upper lip or the lower lip or the oral cavity. So this lesion or vesicle, you have to de-roof it, de-roof the lesion or vesicle. So when the vesicle is de-roofed, so base will become very clear, visible. So this is the base. So this base will be erythematous and it will become very clear. So then scrape the base, not a roof. Then what will you do? Scrape with blunt weapon base. Scrape the base. You can scrape the base with the blunt weapon, and this part that you have scraped it, put it on the glass slide. Here this base that you have scraped and put it on the glass slide. After that, add the Gimsa stain. Add Gimsa stain. What you feel and look at under the microscope. First of all, investigation is the zinc smear. In the zinc smear, what is the process? De-roof the lesion or vesicle. Base will become very clear. Polygonal shape. Okay, so virus that will infect the keratinocytes, that is polygonal in shape. So this polygonal in shape cell will become cause the ballooning. What will happen here? Ballooning will happen here. So there is a ballooning degeneration due to the infection of the virus. So this polygonal shape will undergo the ballooning degeneration. Ballooning degeneration. So this change shape of the cell that was polygonal shape, it will change into rounded with a bigger nucleus. This is the bigger nucleus. So cell will change rounded with bigger in shape. So all the other cells that are present in the periphery, this is other keratinocytes, other keratinocytes that are present in the periphery of the skin. So they will lose their cell membrane. What will they do? The cell membrane is lost. So here their cell membrane is lost and they will make a same one cell membrane like this one. So they will fuse with this bigger nucleated ballooning. So when they will fuse, so you will look it under the microscope by the Zancks smear, you will feel like this way. This is the bigger nucleus of the infected cells, other nucleus, other nucleus, other nucleus. Actually, these are the nuclei of the nearby or periphery cells. So it is a bigger cells with multinucleated. So we call it multinucleated giant cells. So this is the giant cell with multiple nuclei. Multiple nuclei. These nuclei, this is the nuclei of the same cell, but nearby nuclei are the due to the fusion of the periphery cell membrane of the peripheral cells. So when the virus infect the polygonal keratinocytes, what will happen? Ballooning degeneration will happen. So its shape will change into rounded with bigger nucleus. So cell membranes of the nearby cells will fuse and it will make a same cell membrane with multiple nuclei. Therefore, we call it. Okay, I'm repeating. Maybe you are confused. Pathology. So, what is the pathology? So, what will happen? This is the keratinocyte. What is the shape of this keratinocytes? That is the polygonal shape keratinocyte. So, when the virus HSV1, HSV2, HSV3, 2, and HSV3 infect these cells, what will happen? There is a pathology, we call it ballooning degeneration. Ballooning degeneration. Polygonal shape will change into the rounded, but cell nuclei will become bigger. Rounded, bigger nuclear cell. So nearby cells, this is the peripheral cells that has the nucleus. This is the nearby cells. So nearby cells, cell membrane of the nearby cells will fuse with this cell. So this shape will change the shape like this way. Bigger, this is the nucleus of its own, and this is the nucleus of nearby cell, nucleus of nearby cell, nucleus of nearby cells. So this is a bigger cell. We call it giant cell with multiple nuclei. So we call it multinucleated giant cells. So multinucleated giant cells are appear on the Zancks smear. These can be appear when there is infection is due to HSV1, HSV2, and HSV3. Okay, so we cannot differentiate. When you look under the microscope, there is a multinucleated giant cells. We cannot differentiate HSV2 or HSV3 because HSV1, HSV2, and HSV3, all of them causes the multinucleated giant cells and the Zancks smear. So this is the investigation of investigations. So next one after the investigation, you will treat it. There are the less antiviral drugs. So HSV1, how are you treated? So when you feel there's a reoccurrence, then you will treat it. Okay, how will you treat it? Treatment is done, you will give the 400 milligram of acyclovir. How much? Acyclovir. That acyclovir is the thymidine synthetase inhibitors. Okay, so you will go with the antiviral drugs, that is the acyclovir. How much? You will give the 400 milligram 3 times per day for the period of 7 days. For the period of 7 days. Okay, so this is the treatment. 400 milligram of the acyclovir 3 times per day for the period of 7 days. This is the treatment. Okay, but when you feel there's a recurrence mean more than 6 times per week or times per year. When you feel there is more than 6 times per year or the orolabial or gingivostomatitis, then what will you do? You will give this suppressive therapy, especially with acyclovir. So you will give this suppressive therapy. It means steroid can be used plus acyclovir. That is the antiviral drugs. Clear? So this is the first infections we have clear. Next move on to the other one infections, that is the herpes genitalis. Second is the herpes genitalis. You know what is the causative agent here? So in the herpes genitalis, causative agent is the HSV2. Other name of the HSV2 is the HHV2. Herpes simplex virus or human herpes virus 2. Actually, it is the STD, sexually transmitted disease. Herpes genitalis is the STD that is caused by the HSV2 or HH infections. Clinical features. So infections caused by the HSV2 are below the umbilicus. Infections are below the umbilicus. So if the male, what are the clinical presentation? In the case of female, what are the clinical presentation? Okay, so there are the grouped lesions. Here is also grouped vesicles or vesicles. Grouped vesicles that are present on glans penis, prepuce, and in the case of the female, the grouped vesicles are present on the labia major and labia minor. But keep in mind, these are the grouped vesicles or vesicles. So grouped vesicles in the case of the male, they are present on glans penis, prepuce, and in the female, they are present on the labia minora and labia majora. So when there is a primary exposure or primary episodes due to the HSV2, so here is the primary episode herpes genitalis. Okay, in the case of the female, there will be very severe, that primary will be a very severe symptoms. You know, we have just done that primary symptoms of the fever, urinary retention due to pain. It will be very very painful. So in the case of the female, it will be very painful and presented at the fever and the urinary retention. And there will be a multiple lesions. What is that? Are grouped lesions or vesicles. That grouped lesions or vesicles are the polycyclic. So here are the polycyclic. I will show you the image. I show you what is the polycyclic. It means this is the one lesion, other lesion, other lesion, other lesion, and make a annular lesion like this one. And with this central clearing, these are the polycyclic, multiple cyclic, central clearing. So there are polycyclics are grouped lesions, and when they will rupture, they will make the ruins. They will rupture by its own and make the ruins. And these ruins are the, you know, when they make the ruins, so what will come out? Fluid will come out. On that fluid, bacteria will settle. Bacterial growth happened. So due to that bacterial growth, they will lead to ulceration, make a ulcer. So what is that? In the cases of the primary HSV, very severe symptoms, fever, urinary retention due to pain, and polycyclic grouped lesions. When these rupture, they will make the erosions, and these erosions will ooze out the fluid. On that fluid, bacteria will invade and cause the ulcerations. Okay, and what is the investigation here? Investigation is same as the Zank smear. So on the Zank smear, what do you feel? There are the so the HSV can be also hidden like the shingles. Yeah, STD, sexually transmitted disease. You know when these lesions will automatically vanish, wear off. So primary lesions when it will vanish off, then this herpes virus it will hide itself in the ganglions. So it is a herpes virus. Hide once viral attack happens, after that it will show its symptoms and then hide itself in the dormant stage. Okay, so there are the multinucleated giant cells. Multinucleated giant cells on the Giemsa stain. Next one, treatment. So treatment here is the same as the acyclovir. So what is the treatment? Treatment in the case of male and in the first primary episode, when there is a primary episode, what is the treatment, and secondary episode, what is the treatment? So we have discussed that primary episode is much severe than the secondary episode, that is the milder. So here the treatment is same as the acyclovir. Treatment, the drug of the treatment is the acyclovir. That is the thymidine synthetase enzymes inhibitor. So what how the acyclovir work? That is the thymidine synthetase inhibitor. So primary episode is much severe. So what will how much dose you will give? You will give the 400 milligram, okay, for 3 times per day. 400 milligram 3 times a day with the plenty of the water or fluid intake for the period of 7 days. For 7 days. But keep in mind, you will give it after food with the plenty of the fluid intake. In the case of the primary episode, you will give the acyclovir. So here the dose and duration is disturbed. So dose is 400 milligram for 3 times per day for the total days of 7 days after food and plenty of water intake or fluid intake. Fluid intake is sufficient, should be sufficient. But in the secondary episodes, so how much it should be given? You can give it 200 milligram for the period of the 3 days. Okay, not for this 7 days. Here you will change the 200 milligram for total duration of 3 days. So dose and duration is changed. So 3 days. So both herpes labialis and genitalis is also done for the same treatment or same drug. So next one, other than herpes genitalis, move on to the next one is the if anything is resistant to the acyclovir. If the herpes is resistant to the acyclovir, we call it acyclovir resistant HSV. Sorry, acyclovir resistant herpes simplex virus. If the herpes simplex virus is resistant to the acyclovir, so how will you treat it? You will not give the treatment, or especially you will not give the acyclovir. Especially this resistance is present in those patients who are HIV positive patients. HIV positive patients are resistant to the acyclovir. Okay, so how will you actually when they are resistant to the acyclovir? So when there is the HSV infection, so this HSV infection will take long time or longer time to heal. When the HSV infection takes longer time to heal, then you can still you are giving the acyclovir, but it is not healing because patient is acyclovir resistant. Secondly, period of the asymptomatic shedding is very high. So this is the phase of the chronic erosions. So lesions do not show any signs of the healing. You know, lesions do not show any signs of the healing, and that the phase of the chronic erosion will be present. Chronic erosions will be present. So how will you know the patient is resistant to the acyclovir? Initially, you are giving the dose of this 400 milligram acyclovir for 3 times per day for the duration of 4 to 7 days. Now you will increase the dose. Maybe you will increase the dose up to 800 milligram, but still no response. When the patient is acyclovir resistant, and then HSV infections will take longer time to heal. So it will turn into the chronic regions, that chronic regions without healing. So what will you do? You will try to increase the dose 800 milligram 3 times a day for the duration of 3 to 7 days, but no response, no healing. No response means no healing. So what will you do? You will change the acyclovir with the other analogs. You will give the other analogs of the acyclovir because acyclovir will not work here. So you will try to the other analogs. What are the other analogs? That is the cidofovir. You will give the cidofovir. Never give the acyclovir again, and you can give the foscarnet. Foscarnet. Okay. Actually, gabapentin is not antiviral drug. Maybe here is the question. So I tell you. Here is the sir. Gabapentin can be given. It drug receptors are the potency efficacy problems. Yeah, actually, receptor down regulations can be happened, or there are some mutational changes in the virus can happen. Okay, so when the acyclovir resistance is due to the HSV in the virus, there are some genetic mutations, genetic drift, or genetic shift has happened. So that herpes virus is not giving any response to the acyclovir. Some students said, "Sir, can we give the gabapentin?" So you know gabapentin, pregabalin. So these are the drugs that can be given for the post-herpetic neuralgia. You know these are the drugs used for the nerve pain, neurologic pain, pain due to the specific nervous system. So this gabapentin, pregabalin, these are used for the post-pre-herpetic neuralgia. Neuralgia means pain. So these are not useful for the treatment. These are just only for pain reducing post-herpetic pain. That pain is due to the herpes viruses. But here you will give the antiviral drugs, and that antiviral drugs, other analogs to the acyclovir, you will give the cidofovir and you will give the foscarnet. Not you will maybe you can use the gabapentin, pregabalin, but actually these are used for the prehepatic, not hepatic, herpetic, preherpetic, postherpetic neuralgia. So these are will reduce the pains that has occurred due to the herpes viruses infections. Clear? Okay, next one. We have completed two HSV infections. So next one HSV infection is the HSV3. So page number 15. So that is the HSV3. It has caused the same as the VZV, same as varicella zoster viruses. So this varicella zoster virus is causing the same infection as the HSV3. So it causes the two type of the infections. One infection is the chickenpox. Chickenpox in children. Chickenpox in children is due to the VZV or the HSV3 and also cause the shingles in elders. Okay, and shingles are the herpes zoster. So this is the herpes zoster. Herpes zoster are shingle and chickenpox is the varicella. So two type of infections. One is the varicella and other is the herpes zoster. Other name of the varicella is the chickenpox and other name of the herpes zoster is the shingles. So chickenpox is most commonly in children or adult and the shingle is in the adult, especially elder people. Okay. So what are the clinical presentations? So this chickenpox is due to the primary exposure and the shingles are due to the secondary episodes or the secondary expose or reactivation due to the reactivation of the virus. So let's discuss the chickenpox first. Chickenpox. Other name chickenpox is the varicella. The clinical feature. So here will be a specific, there will be a ballooning degeneration. What will be? Ballooning degeneration. And it causes the, the clinical presentations are most commonly in children. What are the children are present with the fever, initially present with the fever, malaise. So after 2 to 3 days later, initially there will be fever and the malaise. Then 2 to 3 days later, there will be a rashes. What will be present? Rashes, and that rashes are in distribution. This centripetal distribution mean on the back of center. Centripetal distribution mean they will present center of the patient. Okay, so these are associated with the involvement, cavity involvement. So initially patient children will come with fever, malaise. After 2 days and 3 days later, there will be rashes. These rashes are centripetally body. Okay, and then they are also present into the oral cavity. And along with the oral cavity, our eye will be congested. So conjunctival congestion. In the eye there will be irritation. Centripetally distributed with oral cavity involvement and conjunctival congestion. Conjunctiva will be involved, and these are typically appear. What is the typically appear as dew drops on rose petal. This is the important line. I'm making a big star here. Dew drops on a rose petal. Dew drops on the rose petal. It means if your body is a rose petal. So look at this is the head. neck and back. Okay, so on the back, these are the dewdrops, and these dewdrops are red, very red, and looking like these are the rose petal. On that rose petals are the dewdrops on the rose petals. So lions are very, very small, but fastly evolving. They will. What will the changes of the lions? Lions are very small, but fastly evolving. What does it mean? Fastly evolving. So clinically, lions small, fastly evolving. What does it mean fastly evolving? Actually, initially there will be rashes. Initially there will be rashes. That rashes will turn into papules. Okay, and then papules will turn into vesicles or vesicles. And these vesicles are specially umbilicated vesicles. Umbilicated vesicles. What is the umbilicated vesicle? When you look at your umbilicus, so there is a depression. In the umbilicus, there is a depression. And in the depression, center is the depressed part. So if it is a vesicle, and in that vesicle, the central point is depressed, we call it umbilicated. Look at this is the central part. This central part is depressed. So when you look at your umbilicus is like this way. Central part is depressed. So these vesicles are umbilicated vesicles with the central depressions. And these vesicles, then it will turn into the pustules, pus filled lions. Finally, they will turn into crusts. This is the final crusting. Crusting will happen. So these are the rapidly evolving or fastly evolving lions. Initially, they start after 2 to 3 days with fever. Start is the rashes, then papules, then vesicles, then umbilicated vesicles and pustules. They will pus filled and then finally crusting. Crusting is the symptom of healing. It means now they are going to heal. So whenever any children who has the fever and malaise, after 2 days, that children develops the rashes from the start of the rashes, from the starting point A up to papules, vesicles, vesicles, pustules, up to pustules. Isolate the children. Isolate the children. Why? Because this total duration, starting from rashes, papules, vesicles, umbilicated vesicles up to pustules, this is the transmission period. This virus can transmit to the healthy children. So this is the isolation, isolate the children. But crusting is non-infectious. When crusting start, so crusting is non-infectious phase. So they can ask in your MCQs when there is a chicken pox and you start feeling there are the rashes are present on the back of the child. So there mean you can isolate the children up to the crusting because crusting start it means virus has gone and the non-infectious phase has started. So patient has to be isolated till all the lions has to become crust. When crust, then you can remove the isolation. So what is the treatment of the varicella? Treatment of varicella, especially varicella. Specially treatment is the acyclovir. Acyclovir. How much acyclovir? 800 milligram. Here the dose is high. 800 milligram 2 times per day for the period of 7 days. For the period of 7 days. So acyclovir 800 milligram 2 times per day for the period of 7 days. If you don't treat it, what are the complications? Complications. So in the adult, it can cause the complications, and these complications, especially in adult, not a children. In adult, the complications can be pneumonitis. Complications can be hepatitis. Complications can be meningoencephalitis. Meningoencephalitis. So therefore, you need the treatment. And most commonly, these complications occur into the secondary infections. So that will be a pain, pruritus, post-inflammatory pigmentations, and scarring. Clear? So if there are the secondary infections, most common secondary infections. So what are the complications? When there are the secondary infections, so then complications are the pain. Along with the pain, there will be a pruritus, itching, and then there could be a post-inflammatory pigmentation. After the inflammation, there will be a post-inflammatory pigmentation, and that pigmentation, skin color change, hypopigmentation or hyperpigmentation, that is the permanent. Pigmentation is permanent. So secondary complications are here permanent. So look at here, you will treat it with the acyclovir two days, 2 times per day for 7 days, and complications, especially in the adult, are the pneumonitis, hepatitis, meningoencephalitis, inflammatory pigmentation, and can be used when the acyclovir is not available. Varicella. So which one analogs can be used for the varicella? Especially that analog is the valacyclovir. Valacyclovir can be used, and other is the famiciclovir. Sorry, famciclovir. These drugs are the analogs for the cyclovir can be used. But other complications are in children. In children, complications. We have discussed the complications in the adult. Now there are some complications in the children. Actually, in the children, it can cause the glomerulonephritic syndrome. Glomerulonephritic syndrome. GNS, glomerulonephritic syndrome. That is due to secondary infection. So it means complication in the children are most dangerous. Glomerulonephritis. So kidney can damage. Okay. So these are the some drugs treatment for the varicella. Let's move on to the herpes zoster shingles. So shingles is the viral infection that is most commonly in elderly or the adult, and this shingle is due to herpes simplex virus. Actually, this is due to reactivation reactivation of herpes simplex virus 3 or the VZV. It is due to the reactivation. It means it is a secondary infection, but chickenpox is a primary infection, most commonly in the children. Okay, so when this virus will reactivate, we have studied that shingle virus or the varicella zoster virus, it will remain in the ganglion when there is a favorable conditions. What are the favorable conditions? Maybe when there is a fever, there are some seasonal change, Okay, seasonal changes, and when the patient is become elderly and immunity is lost, so that cases this varicella zoster virus will reactivate and it will causes the shingles, and this shingles will tend to along the segment. So you know this shingles are the herpes zoster will appear along segments, especially they are not present on the all parts of the body, they are present on the segments. So which one segments? Why survive the shingles occur in normal adults who have the strong immune systems. So there, I have already told you that this is due to the reactivations of the especially viruses that are already residing in the ganglions. So that if the adult has the strong reactive system, then due to the seasonal changes, due to the fever, or due to the some neurological problems, okay, and due to the trauma to the specific site. So when there is a trauma to that site, or when there is a neurological problems, so that will reactivate. Okay, so appear in along the segment. So most common segment that is involved is the thoracic segment. Thoracic segment, it means these grouped of the vesicles. So on thoracic segment there will be grouped vesicles. Most common segment that is involved in the shingle is the thoracic segment, and actually these are most commonly due to cranial nerves. Cranial nerves, and which nerve most common cranial nerve is the trigeminal nerve. Trigeminal nerve. So it means these shingles or the grouped vesicles will appear on the thoracic segment along the trigeminal nerve, where the on the thoracic segment, as long as the trigeminal will pass through, on that area there will be the presence of the shingles. Okay, these are in the segmental fashion, especially on the thoracic segment, in the fashion of the trigeminal nerves. So when this herpes zoster shingles appears, so there are the three conditions. So first condition is the preherpetic neuralgia. Preherpetic neuralgia. So patient will have the neural pains in the nerves. You know, when the virus is residing in the ganglions, that virus will move through the nerves. So there will be a nerve inflammation due to the presence of the viruses. So virus is residing in the ganglion, so that virus will replicate and then it will become active. So there will be cause the nerve inflammation. So this nerve inflammation before any appearance of the vesicles is a painful. So that is the preherpetic neuralgia. So such a pain is before the presence of the herpetic vesicles or grouped lesions. So you will feel a pain, and that pain is very acute pain. Preherpetic is the acute pain. So that will be remain for 1 to 2 days at back or backache. So this is the actually this you are going to prepare for the shingles. So preherpetic neuralgia is due to the nerve inflammation that is caused by the viral replication. So it is the acute pain that will remain for 1 to 2 days at the back of the body. That is called as backache. After that, neuralgia or the herpetic neuralgia will start. So second condition is the herpetic neuralgia. It means shingles as appears. So there will be a painful eruptions. Eruption will start. Eruptions mean the shingles will appear. Where they first appear? Thoracic region. So shingles will appear on the thoracic region along the trigeminal nerve pathway, and that eruption will be very painful. After that, there could be start of the post herpetic neuralgia. So third condition is the post herpetic. So 21. Third condition is the post herpetic neuralgia. It means shingles are the lesions are healed. It means all the lesions are healed. Still, there will be a pain. After the healing of the lesions, there will be a still pain. Pain may persist for the weeks, for many weeks. Okay, maybe for a month, 2 months, up to 2 months. So that may be. So post-herpetic neuralgia, it means lesions are healed, still the pain may persist for weeks to months. So that pain is the post-herpetic neuralgia. It means herpes viruses exposure has been healed out, still pain is present. That pain is, this is due to the inflammation of the nerves. So the nerves is still inflamed. Through the nerves causes the inflammation. So that inflammation will take time to become normal. Okay. So here is a question. Sir, does this shingles primary infection is chickenpox, which is then reacted form of the shingles? Okay, actually, chickenpox is the most commonly happens into the children's. Okay, and that children's are the primary exposure. Most commonly, it is a primary exposure. So when the children are exposed, so that will lead to the chickenpox. And after that, this virus will remain in the body for a period of time and then reactivate in the adults. And then these adults have the, especially in the nerves, which are the nerves? Trigeminal nerves. So trigeminal nerves, it will reactivate and then it will appear in the form of the lesions on the thoracic region. So that is the most common segment as the thoracic segment that is involved. We call it shingles. So next one are the some. So treatment here is the, in the case of the treatment, that is the acyclovir. Okay, and here is the next one is the some signs, that is the herpes zoster signs. So signs for the herpes zosters. So what are the signs for the herpes zoster? First one sign is the Hutchinson sign. Hutchinson sign. So actually Hutchinson sign, you want to check it out that the herpes zoster can or shingles can cause the herpes ophthalmicus. Herpes ophthalmicus. You want to check it. I tell you what is the procedure. Here is the forehead. Okay, here is the nose and the eyes, your face and mouth. Oh, if the shingles are present on the forehead and patient is presented to you, there are the forehead, there are the some lesions or the vesicles. So how will you know these vesicles can spread up to the eyes? There are the some formula or the thumb rule, that is the Hutchinson sign. If the vesicles are present at the tip of the nose along with forehead, if such a vesicles on the thoracic area are there present on the tip of the nose, so they are present on tip of nose. or we call it lateral side of nose. Then you can estimate in future, in further days, these shingles can spread up to the eye. Okay, and especially this is called as herpes ophthalmicus. Why? Because they will pass through the nerve pathway. You know, I have told you these shingles spread along the nerve pathway. So the nerves that are innervating the tip of the nose and innervating the eyes, that is the same nerve. What is that nerve? That is the ciliary branch of the trigeminal nerve. Ciliary branch, and nerve is the trigeminal nerve. If vesicles are present on forehead but on the tip of the nose or lateral side of the nose there is no vesicles, then there could not be a chance for the herpes ophthalmicus. Why? Because it is not innervating the ciliary branch of the trigeminal nerve. It is innervating the other branches of the trigeminal nerve. Because ciliary branch of the trigeminal nerve is the same on the tip of the nose and the eye. So it can cause the herpes ophthalmicus. So this is the sign for the Hutchinson sign. We call it Hutchinson sign. And other is the Ramsay-Hunt sign or syndrome. That is the Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. How will you estimate this syndrome through the herpes virus? So it is the due to the facial nerve palsy. Facial nerve palsy. So that is occurring in the setting of the herpes zoster opticus. Facial nerve palsy occurring in setting of herpes zoster opticus. Ot mean air, otitis media like. So what has happened? So actually when you feel the vesicles are present, so vesicles are present on the external pinna, that is the external air, and also present on the tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane. Then there could be a facial nerve palsy. So that is the facial nerve palsy. It means facial nerve palsy that is occurring in the setting of the herpes zoster oticus. What does it mean? It means when the vesicles are present on the external pinna and also present on the tympanic membrane, then there is a more chances for the facial nerve palsy, and we call it the Ramsay-Hunt sign. So these are the two signs for the herpes zoster are the. So we have told you that there are the pre-herpetic neuralgia, and post-herpetic neuralgia. So when there is a pain, pre-herpetic, herpetic, and the post-herpetic, so what? How will you treat it? So the treatment for neuralgia, especially herpetic neuralgia. So then you will give the different drugs. Previously I told you you can give the gabapentin, you can give the pregabalin, and you can give the methylcobalamin. So these drugs are the especially gabapentin, pregabalin, and the methylcobalamin are given for the different kinds of the neuralgia, pre-herpetic, herpetic, and the post-herpetic neuralgia. So these medicines used to be continued for the longer period of time, weeks to months, because post-herpetic neuralgia it will remain for longer period of the time. Maybe sometime we will add on the anti-epileptic drugs, because post-herpetic neuralgia can cause the epilepsy. So sometimes we will also use the concomitant use of the anti-epileptic drugs. So that is also used for the. So questions can be asked. Most common complication of the herpes zoster. That is the post-herpetic neuralgia. So what is the question? First question they can ask you, what is the most common complication of herpes zoster? That is the post-herpetic neuralgia. Post-herpetic neuralgia. So second, they can ask you, what is the most common segment involved? What is the most common segment involved in the herpes zoster? That is the thoracic segment. Thoracic segment. Most common nerve, cranial nerve involved, that is the trigeminal nerve. So these are three questions they can ask in the herpes zoster viruses. Okay. So next one, fourth one viruses is the HHV4.
That's enough.
Enough. So how will you complete this dermatology or the viral infection? So okay. So in our next class, stay here. In our next class, okay. In our next class, we will discuss the HHV4. Okay. Well, what will we discuss? HHV4. That is the cytomegalovirus. We will discuss the HHV5. That is the Epstein-Barr virus. Epstein-Barr virus 5, 6, and 7. Okay. And later we will discuss the. Okay, I will tell you. Don't worry. I'm going to get the answer of your question. And later we will discuss the different kinds of the warts, some MCQs related to the viral infections, MCQs, and also images in the tomorrow's lecture. So in the tomorrow lecture, we will discuss the HHV4, 5 up to HHV8 and some different warts. Okay. So also we'll discuss the MCQs and some images of the viral infections. So tomorrow lecture will be at same time 3 p.m. for all the lectures of the pediatrics, and all the lectures of the dermatology will be at the 3 p.m. because so some of the students requested that they are in Pakistan or in their country. So mostly Pakistani students, they have to pick up their younger brothers from the colleges and from the university or from the schools. So tomorrow lecture will be 6 p.m. China time, and all the lectures of the pediatrics and the dermatology will be same at the 6 p.m. China time. Clear? So one student who has no one. Here is a student